it's not confirmed that Prigozhin is dead. So what is the likelihood that he is, in fact, dead?
Jeremy, all indications are that he is. The TASS news agency in Russia, the official news agency, says that he is dead. In fact, the Wagner Group, a short time ago, released a statement saying the head of the Wagner Group, true patriot of his country, Yevgeny Viktorovich Prigozhin, is dead, following the actions of traitors in Russia. Even in hell, he will be the best glory to Russia, the statement says. And in St Petersburg at his corporate headquarters, because let's not forget he was or is or was an oligarch, a billionaire, and his corporate headquarters, they've turned all the lights off except they've left the lights on in the shape of a cross. So certainly the Wagner Group believes that their leader is dead.
Tell us about the significance of who was on board this flight and who's believed to be dead.
Well, it looks like on the flight, certainly on the list that the plane had, was Yevgeny Prigozhin himself, also the co-founder of Wagner, Dmitry Utkin, who was a man in the shadows. He was a really hard military man from the days of Syria and Africa, and also their head of security. So the top three Wagner officials are believed to have been on that plane. And in fact, a specialist, a French military specialist, we're looking at the pictures now of after the plane hit the ground, but Xavier Titelman, who's a French sort of ex-military pilot, specialist in aeronautics, has examined the video and says that when he saw the right wing of the plane come off and the smoke as the plane is coming down, indicates that it was hit by a surface-to-air missile. He believes a Panzer missile. Now, that's not confirmed, but certainly according to one of the top international analysts, that he says that a missile hit the plane.
And how much of that can we reasonably attribute to Vladimir Putin?
We really don't know. It's interesting, on state television in Moscow at the moment, they've been doing vox pops in the street, and of course only putting to air the authorised version that they're happy with. They've been asking people, what do you think of the death of Yevgeny Prigozhin? And almost all of them say, well, sad that anybody dies, but he had so many enemies that you'd never know who would want to kill him. So already there's an attempt by the Kremlin and their state news agencies to distance themselves from it. I suppose the question now, Jeremy, is, has the head been cut off the snake if these three leaders have been killed? Or will others, we're starting to see video of young Wagner fighters now saying, that's it, we will not let this happen. They're quite angry.
If the Wagner leadership has had these marks on their backs, is it a bit careless that they all boarded the same flight?
Probably. I mean, as we know, with any major business or corporation or company directors, there are rules that you cannot have more than one or two on the same flight. In a way, Prigozhin always lived dangerously. He always lived hard. He was at the front line in Bakhmut for months. He liked that image of I have no fear. It's interesting, the Ukraine President's office has sent out a link to the AC/DC song, Highway to Hell. So I think the Ukrainian leadership will be very pleased if it is the end of Prigozhin, because they have been the best fighters. They're the stormtroopers. Much tougher than the Russian army. They were people who were often pumped up on amphetamines and drugs, the Wagner fighters, and they would run to the front line and do things that normal soldiers wouldn't do, which made life hard for the Ukrainian army.
Prigozhin is no saint himself. I mean, he was a critic of Vladimir Putin. That doesn't necessarily make him a friend of the rest of the world. This is a convict who's known for accusations of atrocities in Africa, in Ukraine. He's admitted to interference in the 2016 election in the US. How will the rest of the world be digesting this? How should we digest it?
In fact, Jeremy, in the sort of the world that talks about mercenaries, he's often referred to as the Hannibal Lecter of mercenaries. This is a guy who had his people kidnapped someone off the streets of Kyiv shortly before I got there this year. They took him away. He was a Russian defector, got a sledgehammer, bashed him to death while they filmed it. And Prigozhin said later, if you live like a dog, you die like a dog. So this is certainly, we saw those pictures of him when he went on that mutiny, people taking selfies with him in Russia. But this was a really hard man. And in a way, the US and the West and NATO would rather Putin stay in power than have risked Prigozhin doing a coup in Russia.
It's fascinating how he went from being such a close ally of Vladimir Putin to a rebel. How did that happen?
Well, that's right. He's known Putin since he was in his late teens. He was a criminal, break-ins, burglaries, went to jail, got out of jail, started a hot dog stand, then a chain of restaurants. Knew Putin in St Petersburg. They became friends. Putin started giving him all these catering contracts. So Prigozhin ended up being a billionaire. He needed him in Bakhmut, but then the day that Prigozhin, 2 months ago to the day, said the war's based on a lie, I think his days were numbered.
What does this now mean for the war?
I think it depends on what happens with Wagner. Is there a new leader who comes out and is angry, or is it essentially the end of Wagner?